What's up, y'all? It's been a while since I've recorded a video for this channel, but I felt like this was a pretty significant day in my life, so I decided to make one more video regarding quitting weed. And today is going to be my 1 year anniversary. It was 1 year ago today that I just got the wild hair up my butt to quit. Like, I wasn't even planning on it. I mean, the thought had crossed my mind a few times, but I hadn't really taken it seriously. I really didn't plan on it. And then I was just watching YouTube videos, and a couple videos popped up about people that had quit weed. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to quit. Tonight's going to be my last night. I'm going to try and quit tomorrow. And then boom, just like that, I quit. And it has been now 1 full year, which is pretty amazing, to be honest. I mean, this is the longest I've gone my entire life without smoking since before I even ever started. It's like as soon as I started, I was pretty much like a daily user right off the bat. I have a real addictive personality, and I loved it. From the first time I got high, I was like, oh yeah, I love this. I'm going to be doing this 24/7 the rest of my life. However, those times are over. It's done. And I'm moving on to a new chapter of my life. And honestly, I like this chapter a lot better. I feel so much more in control. I've got more control of my emotions. I feel like I'm way more productive. It's great. Yeah, I love it. I'm glad I made the decision, and I'm glad I was able to follow through. However, I did feel like I had to pass the final test here about 10 days ago or so. I took a trip to Utah, and just starting that long drive across Colorado, all I could think about was getting some weed and smoking it, because it just would have made the trip so much better. I'm just so used to driving and smoking. I mean, my glass bowl would stay loaded all the time, and I would just hit it all the time. So the thought of stopping and just getting a joint or two, I was driving past all these dispensaries in Colorado, and just the thought of stopping and getting a little bit of smoke, because I was on my vacation. I'd saved up all my PTO at work for this vacation, and I just felt like, it'd be okay. It'd be okay to maybe just smoke on the way out. But then I was like, no, you can't do that. I was like, I can't do that. It's like, yeah, I'm going to smoke today, and then I'm going to feel all, just having that weed hangover the next day, and then I would want to smoke the next day. And then it would turn into, well, I need to smoke before the hikes, and then I need to smoke during the hikes and after the hikes, because I need to reward myself for doing these big long hikes, because that's what I went to Utah for, was to go hiking. So I was like, you know what? You can't do it. You can't stop. So I just kept driving, end up getting out to Utah without stopping and buying any weed. But I did feel like that was kind of the last final temptation, and I was able to overcome it with relative ease. It really wasn't that hard. I just had to tell myself, you can't stop. You can't buy weed, because what's going to happen after you smoke this one joint? You're just going to want more and more, and then it's going to turn immediately back into a daily habit. So I didn't stop. I didn't get any weed, but like I said, that did feel like kind of like the final boss. I had to beat the final boss, because it really hadn't been an issue. The last 6 or 7 months hadn't been an issue at all. There's been a couple days at work where I've gotten frustrated. Not lately, but earlier on, when I started the job and I would get more frustrated, there was a couple days where I was like, to hell with this. I just want to quit. I just want to quit right now, go buy some weed and just get high and just sit around and just smoke my anger away, because I'm not enjoying this job right now. However, just buckle down, and eventually I got through those days. So like I said, it's had its moments of being challenging, but overall, as long as you keep the correct mindset, it's not too hard to overcome. You can overcome. But just a few positives from quitting smoking. My place is a heck of a lot cleaner. Every week now I clean my house. I go through, I do my bathrooms, I do all my laundry, I vacuum, I dust. I've got the unlimited car wash for my car, so I go wash my car every week. And I love just having everything clean. I'm into organization. I like having my stuff clean. So now every week I've got a weekly ritual. On my first day off after working, that's my cleaning day. It's kind of like I do all my chores. And I never would have done that if I was smoking. If I was just waking up and getting stoned, there's no way I would wake up and do all that stuff. However, now I've got the energy to do it. And it's great. My house is super duper spotless clean. I love it. It's fantastic. And another positive is I don't have that weed smell in my car anymore. And I'm not afraid to get pulled over by the police. I still do have road rage. I'm not going to lie. I do have, that's something I need to work on, is my road rage. I do get pissed off. And I do speed. And I do drive crazy sometimes. Still, not as much though. Not as much, but I still do have my moments where I go a little crazy. However, I'm not afraid of getting pulled over now. And then having the car, the cop go, oh, it smells like weed. And then, cause like I said, that glass bowl that I had, that thing stayed loaded all the time, no matter where I went. If I was hiking, it was in my pocket. If I was driving, it was right there in the little slot in my door, right there. I'd always be smoking it. So now I don't have to worry about that. I can't even tell you how many close calls I had in Colorado just since I moved here. When I got pulled over and I had to like hide the bowl under my leg. I mean, there's been probably 3 or 4 times where the loaded bowl was right there. A couple times I had to get out and do the roadside Olympics, to prove that I wasn't under the influence. I passed both times because I'm awesome like that. But yeah, 2 times I had to get out and do that. And 2 times I had a loaded bowl in my car. If they would have done any tiny bit of searching, they would have found that, and that would have been a lot of legal problems, just a big pain in the butt. I probably would have had to stop smoking, not voluntarily. They probably would have made me stop smoking. I probably would have had to take like weekly piss tests and stuff like that. I've had to do that before in Kansas and it sucks. You don't want to have to do that. So now I don't have to worry about any of that. If I get pulled over, my car is smelling good because you know why? Because it's clean, because I just cleaned it probably a couple days earlier. Sparkling. I love it. Anybody that has a nice automobile, I suggest getting the unlimited car wash from your local car wash. You can take it in there as much as you want. I take mine in every week. It's awesome. It's great. Another positive is I don't have to plan my life around smoking anymore. I can just get up and do whatever I want to go do. I don't have to worry about smuggling weed, smoking weed. How am I going to have time to get away from everybody to go smoke weed? You know what I mean? It's just great. I don't have any problems at my work. I don't have to worry about sneaking away and getting high on the job and not having anybody know and putting eye drops in and using hand sanitizer to get that smell off my fingers or putting a coat on over and zipping it up so my shirt didn't smell. I don't have to worry about any of that. And I'm a lot more sociable at work. Talk to people instead of, being more reclusive where I didn't want to talk to anybody because I didn't want anybody to find out that I was high all the time. So that's nice. Don't have to plan my life around it. And the last but not least is that I'm breathing so much better. I've had asthma my whole life, which sucks. And that really, it wasn't a good thing to be smoking when I have asthma because it would just trigger. I mean, any time I would hit it, it would just lock my lungs up. I could not breathe. And I was just on my asthma inhaler like crazy, taking that thing like 10 times a day. So now I take it maybe 1 time a day. Usually in the middle of the night, I wake up and I have a hard time breathing. I don't know if it's the way I'm sleeping or something, but I usually have to take it in the middle of the night and then I can go back to sleep. But other than that, man, I mean, I'm not having any more asthma attacks. A year ago today, back when I was still longer than a year ago now, but right up there towards the end, right before I quit, I'm telling you, I couldn't even go walk the dogs without having an asthma attack. There was one day I was trying to walk around the block and I almost couldn't make it back home because I was having such a hard time breathing. It was terrible. I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to have emphysema. I'm going to have to walk around with an oxygen tank or something. This is terrible. However, now that I've quit, I don't have those problems anymore. Those problems have all but vanished. I was able to do bigger and better hikes this summer. Oh, I've been crushing it. Yeah, I've been able to just do whatever I want to do without being held back by, labored breathing or asthma attacks. Not to mention when I was out hiking before and I'd smoke on the way, that would just make it harder to hike because I'd be coughing and choking and couldn't breathe and I couldn't hike as well. So it's great. But yeah, I'm just so happy that I quit. I'm so proud of myself for doing it because now that I've got a year under my belt, I mean, that's pretty significant. I feel like that's something to be proud of. I went out today, I celebrated, went to Golden Corral and stuffed myself. That was fun. But Yeah, it's just great, man. If anybody out there is thinking about quitting, just do it. Just do it. Don't plan on doing it after your next birthday or after the next, milestone that you have planned, your next friend's, whatever. Just do it. Don't wait for anybody else. Just do it. You can't put it off like that. You can't plan on quitting far out in advance. It just doesn't work like that. You just need to get the idea, get the willpower, and do it. Because like I said, if you don't like it, give it a shot. And if you don't like it, you can always go back to smoking. I always have it in the back of my head, maybe one day I'll start smoking again. Maybe, 10 years down the road, I'll start smoking again. But for now, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it because I've already been there. I've already done that. I already know what it entails. And I can't even stand the smell of weed smoke anymore. It drives me crazy when I'm out delivering. Northern Fort Collins just reeks of weed. It is unbelievable how much some of these neighborhoods that I go to the whole neighborhood just reeks like weed. I mean, because people are out in their garages smoking. They're out on their front porches smoking. They're out on their back decks smoking. They're in their cars smoking. And that just pours out onto the street and you can smell it everywhere. And God, I can't even stand the smell of it anymore. Honestly, it smells better when I come across cigarette smoke or like cigars or something like that. That actually smells better than this bloated, rotten, skunk ass smell of this weed. This doesn't even smell like the weed that I used to smoke in high school. This is like some potent, God, it is so pungent smelling. Like, it smells like rotten, skunk ass roadkill smell or something. It's disgusting. Every once in a while, I'll catch a smell of that like old school weed, and it makes me think about high school and stuff like that, smoking back then. But most of this is like high grade dispensary, knock you on your ass, 30% THC smelling weed. I mean, it's so strong. Like I said, I don't even like the smell of it. I can't stand the smell of it. I mean, it's so strong. Sometimes I feel like that smell is going to get in the delivery van. And if I get pulled over, people are going to think I was smoking because it's so strong. It's just everywhere out on the streets here in Colorado. Which I'm not going to lie, guys, that legalizing weed has done nothing positive for Colorado. Nothing. Nothing at all. Colorado has gone down the toilet here in the last 13 years. And I personally think it's because of the marijuana. I think it's because of the legalized marijuana. I think it has attracted just losers, personally. I mean, to anybody out there that's smoking, I'm not necessarily talking about you. I'm just talking in general. Like, Denver is a shithole now. Like, you don't even want to go to Denver. Anyways, I'm not going to get off on that. That's a whole other topic, but today is my 1-year anniversary. I'm proud about that. And like I said, if you want to quit, you can do it. If you believe in yourself, if you know deep down you're stronger than some little green plant, you can overcome. You can do it. If I can do it, I guarantee you can do it too. You just have to believe, know that you're strong, dig down deep when the going gets tough, keep your eye on the goal, and you can do it. I guarantee you can do it. If you want to, you can. No one can make you. You have to want to do it on your own. That's the only way it's going to work. You have to want to do it on your own. So that's my last words of advice here. And this is going to be the final video I make on this topic. I feel like I've gone a year now. I have nothing else to prove. So yeah, this is going to be my last video on the topic, but hope you guys enjoyed it. And until the next one, y'all, peace.